NPR article, what Biden preemptive pardons for family members could mean for presidential powers. If I could submit to the record.
Without objection, so ordered. I now recognize the gentleman from Ohio, Jim Jordan, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Maher, who is Uri Berliner?
Mr. Berliner is a former senior editor,
That's all?
a former senior business editor for NPR.
How long do you work at NPR?
I believe he was there just over 25 years.
25 years? Award-winning journalist? Did he win any awards?
Our time to
Peabody Award? That's pretty important, isn't it?
That is,
So
absolutely.
pretty distinguished journalist, right?
Certainly.
And he wrote a long story about what you do at NPR. Is NPR biased?
Congressman, I have never seen any instance of
Never?
Political bias determining editorial decisions. No.
Well, Mr. Berliner, in his story last year, wrote, in the D.C. area, editorial positions at NPR, he said he found 87 registered Democrats, 0 Republicans. Is that accurate?
We do not track the numbers or the voter registration, but I find that
Was
concerning.
award-winning journalist who worked 25 years at NPR, Mr. Berliner, was he lying when he wrote that?
I am not presuming such. I just we don't track that information about our journalists.
87 to 0, and you're not biased?
I think that is concerning if those numbers are accurate.
It's concern. I mean, it wasn't 44-43. It wasn't 60-27. It wasn't 70-17. It wasn't even 80-7. It was 87 Democrats, 0 Republicans, and you say NPR is not biased. How about the big stories over the last few years? According to Mr. Berliner, again, he wrote on the Trump-Russia story, he wrote, at NPR, we hitched our wagon to Trump's most visible antagonist, Representative Adam Schiff. They said they interviewed him 25 times. Is that accurate?
I was not there at the time, but those numbers sound accurate. Yes.
Those sound accurate. But then he said when the Mueller report came out and they said, Robert Mueller said he found no evidence of collusion, he said, Russiagate faded from our programming. Is that accurate?
Again, I was not there at the time. I couldn't say.
You couldn't say?
I was not at NPR at the time.
You didn't prepare for that? You knew we were going to ask you about this guy, didn't you? It's come up like 6,000 times already in the hearing.
I just couldn't say whether it faded from our coverage, sir.
How about this story? October 2020, the New York Post had the Hunter Biden laptop story, and one of those editors, I guess one of those 87 Democrat editors, said this: we don't want to waste our time on stories that are not really stories. We don't want to waste the listeners' and readers' times on stories that are just pure distractions. Was that a pure distraction story?
Our current editorial leadership believes that that was a mistake, as do I.
Yeah, the whole country knows that was a mistake. Definitely impacted the election, or I think it certainly impacted the election. How about the COVID origin story? That's a pretty big story too, right? Mr. Berliner said, we became fervent members of the team Natural Origin, even declaring that the lab leak was debunked by scientists. Turns out, though, the lab leak is what most people think actually caused the COVID virus.
Sorry, is there a question there?
There is. You guys were 0 for 3 on the three of the biggest stories in the last 5 years. You guys were 0 for 3, and yet you maintain that NPR is not biased?
Congressman, I do not believe we are politically biased. No, we are a nonpartisan organization.
Nonpartisan organization. What's happening to your listeners over the last 5 years? Went up, down, or stayed the same?
It has gone up and down and is now going back up.
Well, I thought 5 years ago it was at 60 million. And you said in your opening statement, I think 43 million.
That's correct.
So 43 million now, and it was at 60 million 5 years ago. I can do some math. That looks like it went down.
And is now going back up.
It's now going back up?
Yes, it is.
How much has it went back up?
It's gone up a couple of millions over the past years.
So you went from 60 million to 41 million. Now you're back up to 43 million.
In a year's time, I'm very proud of that growth, sir.
Okay, you're proud of that growth. Okay. But over 5 years, it's went down 18 million.
That is correct, sir.
Okay. Should taxpayers subsidize NPR?
I believe that taxpayers subsidize local stations, sir. That is the vast majority of what
I thought you said you got 11 million from Corporation of Public Broadcasting, which is taxpayer funded directly to you, right?
That is to support the public radio.
And then local stations get it from the Corporation of Public Broadcasting, right? They get taxpayer money.
100 million that goes to the local
100 million goes to local stations, and then those local stations buy back programming and content from you. So that money goes to the local stations, comes back to you, gets routed through the local stations, all taxpayer money.
Those fees are actually based on private donations rather than on federal funding.
Well, we all know money's fungible, so some of it gets put in there.
Certainly, we could agree that money is fungible.
What? More money for less listeners. You fired the guy who pointed all this out, who said that you were so biased to the left that you lost listeners, which is exactly happening, and you're here maintaining that, oh, you need to continue to get taxpayer money.
I did not fire Mr. Berliner, sir.
Okay, the guy that left after all that. Understand. Are you fundraising off today's hearing?
Sir, I believe that there was a message that went out earlier today letting people know we were coming in. Yes.
Yeah, and at the bottom of the message it said, donate now, right?
I don't recall the exact
I can
language.
show it to you. Right there it is. Donate now. I mean, I'm not against fundraising. We all do it. I mean, I get it. But it's, I assume this fundraising thing is probably going to all the left listeners who are subsidized content by the taxpayers, and that's the
gentleman's
rub.
time is expired.
That's the rub.
Numbers are so ridiculous. I mean, you heard them say the one big beautiful bill is going to cause millions of children to die in the country. I want to see how they back that up. When they start talking about these most ridiculous rhetoric that they have just to fire up their base, it's like, okay, when are you going to fight for America? Because all you're doing is giving gloom and doom and your hatred towards President Trump. But at some point, you was elected to lead. So where's your ideas? They don't have any because their ideas reflect socialism.
Meanwhile, you've gotten so much done in the last few months, passing the big, beautiful bill into law right now, as well as the rescissions package and the digital assets bills as well this week. What's your take on the priority right now, Senator?
Well, I want to go back and talk about what you just said, because we have absolutely done tremendous amount of work. Underneath President Trump, his leadership style is absolutely wearing me down. I used to say no man will outwork me because I honestly don't require a lot of sleep, 4 to 5 hours. I don't know when this man sleeps. It is not unusual for me to talk to him between 12:30 and 1 a.m. and again at 5:30 a.m. But his leadership style is pushing us to do better. His leadership style for America and for the future of America is so strong that we're able to be more productive in this Congress underneath President Trump, Leader Thune, and Speaker Johnson than any Congress in recent history and may be history. I mean, think about this. We've done a rescission package, which was the first time that's happened since 1999, a reconciliation package that cut $1.6 trillion, and now CBO has actually came back and rescored that, and it's closer to $2 trillion in deficit spending. And now we did a cryptocurrency bill that people didn't think could get done, and our market is absolutely responding. And then you start looking at the appropriation bills that we're starting to do now. We have a real opportunity. Oh, and not to mention, in June, the first time in June, we've seen the Treasury receive $25 billion in surplus, meaning that we brought in more for the first time in over a decade than we spent. That is all because of President Trump's leadership and the American people trusting the Republican Party in November and putting us in charge.
When do you feel that we are going to see a real impact of all of this work you've just accomplished?
Well, when people know we're starting to get our physical house in order, they start betting on America again. And then when we start taking care of permitting reform, actually permitting reform to where it brings stability in our federal government and the people's ability to be able to project how to build and what it's going to cost to build, and then we make taxes permanent, which we did, you're going to see that impact happening right now because people are investing in America. We made taxes permanent. So that wasn't just for corporations. That wasn't just for millionaires and billionaires. This attached, making it permanent affects every single household in America. But when you make the tax cuts permanent, also people can bet on America too because they know what the cost of production is going to be on manufacturing. So you're going to see manufacturing come back. You're going to see reinvestment in research and development, which that's the future of America. R&D is what we call it in the tax world. When you start looking at individual small businesses that are bringing back in more money, they can start investing in their communities. So you're going to see wages go up because we already see wages go up. We'll see a big effect in the fourth quarter, and then you'll see another big jump in the first quarter of 26 because people are getting the tax returns and they're seeing that benefit of it.
Yeah, that is great to take note of the fact that the tax cuts are permanent. That is a big deal. Real quick before I move on, now you've got to talk about the appropriations for the next go-round, and for that, you're going to have to do that with Democrats. Are you going to be able to have have these kinds of accomplishments come September when you've got to get through, or are we going to see another continuing resolution?
We have to work with the Democrats on this. So the question the Democrats are going to face is, can they go away from their base? Because right now, their base is anti-America. I don't care which way you say it, it's anti-America. Because when you're for socialism, which they are, because Bernie Sanders and AOC and this crazy socialist that they're trying to elect in New York City, that's the leader of the Democrat Party. So the party is a socialist party at this time. So that's anti-America. So the question is, can they do something for America to move us forward? And we, as Republicans in the Senate, we can't do it without them. We have to have them. So are they willing to shut down the government? Because we have 12 appropriation bills that we've got to do, or are we going to do a CR by September 30th, or the government goes into shutdown? If we go into shutdown, it's a Schumer shutdown. It's 100% a Schumer shutdown because he's leading the Senate for the Democrat Party. And I will bet it's probably going to move into a Schumer shutdown.
Wow. Well, so we're going to look at a shutdown come September. Look, you mentioned it. You've got prominent Democrats right now lining up behind that socialist mayoral candidate, Zohran Mamdani, praising his rise in New York. Watch this.
I will endorse him. Look, he's a very charismatic, relatable person. I agree that this Democratic Party needs to center more on working class Americans, that we need to raise the wage, and that we need a more economically populist agenda.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that from Ro Khanna. I mean, House Democrat leader Hakeem Jeffries meeting with Mamdani on Friday. Is this the direction now of the Democrat Party? You just said he's actually the leader. I thought Hakeem Jeffries was in the lead, but it looks like the AOC arm and Mamdani is really leading things.
Well, think about this. He says charismatic. Well, I've never seen a socialist come to power that wasn't charismatic, but once they come into power, they bring down the hammer. They control you by controlling your education, your health care, and your food supplies. And by the way, have you ever met a poor socialist leader? No, because
she slammed NPR and PBS as radical left-wing echo chambers for elites, accusing them of pushing issues like transgender content, and even dragged Queen appearances in children's NPR CEO Catherine Mocher and PBS President Paula Kerger defended their outlets, emphasizing balanced reporting and the need for taxpayer support, especially for rural communities. Jim Jordan chimed in about internal staff bias, noting that NPR's D team had 87 Democrats and 0 Republicans by registration, arguing it reflects a one-sided perspective. Democrats pushed back hard. Reps like Jasmine Crockett and Greg Kasser called the hearing a partisan distraction, pointing out that NPR gets only about 1% of its funding federally, and PBS only around 16%. So did this hearing change anything? Not yet. Funding runs through 2027, and Congress must act to cut it. Meanwhile, public media argues its continued federal support ensures news access across the nation.